All the information shared in this video is available on the public platform. Nothing is discussed here which may breach the confidentiality of our armed forces. Defense Detective respects our defense forces and works only on the information that is available for public use.
Rubbishing the allegations by the US on India for a failed assassination plot against pro-Khalistan radical Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, the Russian Foreign Ministry said that Washington has not yet provided any reliable evidence of the involvement of Indian citizens in the case. The official spokeswoman of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, said at a briefing on Wednesday, "According to the information we have, Washington has not yet provided any reliable evidence of the involvement of Indian citizens in the preparation of the murder of a certain GS Pannun. Speculation on this topic in the absence of evidence is unacceptable." She said that the US does not understand the national mentality as well as the historical context of the development of the Indian state, and it disrespects India as a state.
I can say that Washington should use the term repressive regime and everything that you quoted regarding Washington, with regard to Washington, because it is hard to imagine more repressive regime than Washington in international and national affairs. With regard to your question in particular, according to our information, so far Washington has not given so far any credible information or evidence that Indian citizens are involved in the preparation of killing of some Pannun.
Zakharova's remarks came in response to a media query on Moscow's reaction to accusations against an Indian official of a failed assassination plot, and the American news publication, The Washington Post, stating that India is trying to do the same as Russia and Saudi Arabia against its enemy. The Washington Post, it seems to me, should use the term repressive regime and everything you quoted in relation to Washington. It is difficult to imagine a more repressive regime than Washington, both in domestic and international affairs. Now directly about your question, Zakharova said, according to the readout of the briefing released by the Russian Foreign Ministry. She said, regular unfounded accusations by the United States against New Delhi, we see that they groundlessly accuse not only India but also many other states of violating religious freedoms are a reflection of the United States' misunderstanding of the national mentality, the historical context of the development of the Indian state and disrespect for India as a state. I am sure that this also comes from the neo-colonial mentality, the mentality of the colonial period, the period of the slave trade, and imperialism. This does not only apply to India. The reason is the desire to unbalance the internal political situation in India in order to complicate the general parliamentary elections taking place in the country. Of course, this is part of interference in India's internal affairs, she added. Gurpatwant Singh Pannun is an India-designated terrorist who holds American and Canadian citizenship. Earlier in November, the U.S. Justice Department unsealed an indictment against an Indian national for his alleged involvement in a failed plot to assassinate Pannun. The External Affairs Ministry, in April, had rejected a report in the Washington Post naming Indian Research and Analysis Wing, RAW, officials' involvement in the alleged post to kill Khalis terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannun in the U.S.
Regarding Canada, you would have seen a press release that we made when we summoned the Deputy High Commissioner regarding an event that was attended by the Prime Minister where Khalistan slogans were raised. The other media engagement that you are referring to took place on the sidelines of this event. In our view, Prime Minister Trudeau's remarks, he has made those remarks earlier as well, so it's nothing new. His remarks to us, it illustrates once again the kind of political space that has been given in the country, in Canada, to separatism, to extremism and violent people who practice violence. This not only impacts India-Canada relations, but also encourages a climate of violence and criminality in Canada to the detriment of its citizens.
Describing it as an unwarranted and unsubstantiated imputation on a serious matter that is under investigation, Ministry of External Affairs, official spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal said the US media report was speculative and irresponsible. In response to media queries on the reports that appeared in Washington Post, a US national daily, Jaiswal said that a high-level committee set up by the Indian government is carrying out an investigation into the security concerns shared by the US government on networks of organized criminals, terrorists, and others. The report in question makes unwarranted and unsubstantiated imputations on a serious matter. There is an ongoing investigation of the high-level committee set up by the Government of India to look into the security concerns shared by the US government on networks of organized criminals, terrorists, and others. Speculative and irresponsible comments on it are not helpful. Citing officials and a US indictment, the Washington Post report claimed that the raw official identified as Vikram Yadav had directed Indian businessman Nikhil Gupta to hire a hitman to kill Pannun outside his New York residence. Gupta, now in custody in the Czech Republic, has a pending extradition to the US to stand trial in the case. As per the report in the US Daily, the operation targeting Pannun was approved by then-RAW Chief Samant Goyal. Notably, as per the US Justice Department indictment, Indian national Nikhil Gupta, who is currently in custody, has been charged with the murder for hire of Pannun. The US Justice Department has claimed that Indian government employee, named CC1, who was not identified in the indictment filed in a federal court in Manhattan, recruited an Indian national named Nikhil Gupta to hire a hitman to carry out the assassination, which was foiled by US authorities, according to prosecutors. Gupta has been charged with murder for hire, which carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Czech authorities arrested and detained Gupta on 30th June, pursuant to the bilateral extradition treaty between the United States and the Czech Republic. The highest court of the Czech Republic has stayed the lower court's decisions permitting the extradition of Indian national Nikhil Gupta, indicted by the United States for plotting to kill Khalistan separatist Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, citing no significant harm to public interest if this action is delayed. Following this, Mia said that a case filed against an individual in a US court and allegedly linking him to an Indian official is a matter of concern and is contrary to government policy.